Yes, Ryuji, good evening.
Good evening, Elsie. The G7 alliance nations, Canada, Britain, France, Italy, Germany, Japan, and the United States, including the European Union, convened in Tokyo on November 7 to 8. This is to discuss the critical global issues, including the Israel-Hamas crisis and the war of Russia with Ukraine. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, fresh from his tour in the Middle East, in his diplomatic efforts, appealed for the G7 to force agreement on how to prevent differences on Gaza from deepening. According to Blinken, unity among the alliance group is important to deal with the current crisis. G7 requires a common ground in the Middle East conflict triggered by the Hamas massacre on October 7. Japanese Foreign Minister Yoko Kamikawa stated Japan's support to the U.S. diplomatic efforts between Israel and Palestine. The G7 plans to push the need to pause the fighting, to allow humanitarian aid access to Gaza, and to allow civilians to get out of the area. Moreover, a post-conflict governance should begin to prevent the war from spreading. These plans were described as work in progress by the U.S. Secretary, recognizing divisions over the possibility of a pause. This is due to Israel remaining unconvinced while other Middle East nations demand a full ceasefire. Furthermore, there has been a difference among the G7, with France voting in favor of humanitarian truce resolution in Gaza during the United Nations Security Council, which U.S. has opposed condemning the Hamas massacres. Other countries abstained in the vote. Meanwhile, G7 countries' support for Ukraine in the war with Russia will not be affected by escalating conflict between Israel and Palestine. Back to you, Elsie.
Thank you, Ryuji Sasaki, reporting live from Japan.